away from being a $250 million company. I love it.
Yep.
Paradigm shift, right?
Good to see you, Mike, by the way. This is
it's good when you start talking in fractions of a billion. That's a different mindset. Yeah.
Yeah,
if you throw in, we have another brand in the market that we bought almost a year ago, I guess, and they'll do about 30 million. We bought them at 20 million, so they grew about 10. But so if you add the two together, we're at 220 million. So yeah, we're on track to do 300 million here in the next 2 to 3 years.
It's madness. That's madness. That's it. Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy to think how many transactions that takes. We're not doing big jobs. They're all the normal residential service and replacement kind of stuff.
It might be an idea, Paul, even just before we kind of kick in, or we can even start kicking in. When Paul shared with me, like, I've often asked Paul, like, did you set out to grow a company this large? And he laughed and said, absolutely not. He instead focused on like super small achievable goals that you can blow past versus this big, huge, what seemed probably like a dream at the time, or even something we didn't even think about. And just all those small little tiny wins added up to what he's got today. So I'd love for you to chat real quick, Paul, about like how you think about growth and your whole small goal versus big goal mentality.
Yeah, I'm a small goal person. I can't wrap my head around. I mean, when I bought the company, if you would have said, hey, 17 years later, you're going to do 190 million, I would have just laughed at that person that told me that or whatever. And yeah, I had no idea. Really, I was just trying to make payroll. We bought it at a tough time of year, and it wasn't making money. It was a little bit shy of 7 million in revenue, which is a sizable company. But yeah, I had no idea. We just wanted to go from 7 million to 8 million, 8 million to 9. And what happened was we got this momentum going, and then the $1 million increase per year became 2, and then 3, and then 5, and then 7. And then this year here in 2021, we'll grow about 28, maybe 29 million in 1 year. And so, yeah, I'm more of a get a little bit better at something every day than I am to set some goal that seems, you've heard people say, reach for the stars and you'll hit the moon. I can't wrap my head around going to either one of them. I like, grabbing one ladder or one rung on the ladder at a time. And then at some point I'll look down the ladder and see how far I've come. But I think it's small incremental improvements that work for me anyway. I'm a simple person, so I can't implement complicated, and I can't pull off complicated. So maybe that helps a little bit.
Yeah, and there's so many lessons that I don't know for you guys that know on this call, but Paul's literally dissected his success in a book. And there's some major lessons that literally can shift how you think about not just business, but life too. Josh, if we can jump right into questions right now, or we can start to dissect some of the lessons in that book that I thought were incredibly helpful.
I mean, here's what I would say. I mean, obviously you guys know, Paul and my background with Parker and Sons and what we've done since and all that fun stuff. Or most of you do. I don't think we need an introduction. I don't think we need to go through that. I know more people are hopping on, but I'm assuming everybody knows who Paul is. Everybody knows who I am.
Let me give them the quick rundown for those that don't. For anyone who doesn't, Paul and Josh have grown Parker and Sons to where it's at today. Josh led led the operations and marketing and many other departments, I think, within the company as well.
And the
And
marketing.
Josh stepped out a few years back, and Paul has continued to grow it. But I think the company was at 100 million when Josh stepped out. So he has profound experience in this industry, and profound success stories too. Some of you guys are on the call here today, and it's just been exciting to watch what Parker and Sons is now probably, I think, the most successful contractor in the history of the industry. So yeah, these guys know a thing or two. I don't like to give Josh too big of a head, but he certainly knows a thing or two. So take
I
it
think
away,
it's
Josh.
the largest single market. If you were to include like a Roto-Rooter or like a Southern Air that has like 47 locations, they do more, but in a single location, Parker and Sons will do 190 million just in Phoenix. So that's the caveat to the largest, most profitable, most successful company in the United States.
And I say that guy's not to show them off. I just don't ever take advice from somebody who hasn't got what I want. And these guys for sure have they're worth listening to.
Yeah. So here's what I'd say. I kind of, we didn't necessarily prepare, but me and Paul talked earlier. Paul's my father, by the way. So, my dad talked earlier and kind of prepared something I think a lot of people don't focus on. I harp on all the time, which is making more money off of every single call that you get. But really, I prepared something as a backup. I would love to just open up to questions to you guys. And I would say any questions, okay. I'm an open book. Paul's an open book. If you have anything specific you want to ask the most successful contractor in the history of the industry, which you should have questions, why don't you put them into the chat, or just unmute yourself, raise your hand, and AJ's kind of running point here, setting everybody up, and we will get them answered one by one. Does that sound good? Everybody give me a head shake if they like this. Yeah, I like the head shakes. Thank you, guys. So I see one right now from Paul Redmond. Is that the first one?
Looks like we got one right before that from Owner. Please start with tricks of the trade and then go to questions, or we may not.
Owner. I'm pretty sure his name's not Owner. That's
no.
I think harsh mom.
No, he's right though. There's and we're gonna get to Paul Redmond then too. There are some tricks of the trade. Let's go into them. Let's dissect some of them. Paul, where do you want to start?
What's the question?
Well, I'll start with the book. Now that looks like it's upside down to me, but is that right side up?
No, the other way. The right side up is the right side up.
Okay. No,
Paul doesn't know how cameras work apparently. No.
Tricks of the trade to success. The magic of creating your ta-da in business and in life. A lot of people, as I became successful, said, hey, you ought to write a book. And I never really had the time to do that. In this past year, I just carved out some time. But I really cover, it's not just about business, but it's about life as well, and what makes people successful in life as well as business. It has tricks in it, like how to convince anyone of anything. I got a little way of doing that is a little bit easier than you might think. Everything I do is if I'm good at anything, it's taking something complicated, simplifying it so that I can implement it, so that we can implement it. So you'll find that in the book, it's not some complicated formula. Everything is simple. And how to win the war on talent. Hey, that's probably one of the most important things that we all could figure out. I got some tricks of the trade for that in there. Setting and achieving goals, making more out of the business you already get. Josh mentioned that. Advertising effectively. Get everyone on the same page, earn customers' loyalty and trust, create an environment that encourages success, and rev up your sales engine, overcome life setbacks. I even have a recipe for how to overcome hiccups in life, but it's not just the hiccups of things that don't go well for you, or setbacks, which I call hiccups, but actual hiccups. And you're gonna
It's a
get
100-year-old recipe.
yeah, you're gonna get a kick out of the recipe for how to overcome hiccups. It'll be mind blowing for you.
So here's what I would say. Let's do this. And like, it's always, I've gotten much better about this, right? But like some things to me are obvious because I grew up in it and I've read a ton of business books. You have too. We visit tons of businesses. Like, I think let's just pull one thing from the book and let's just talk about it real quick. And the one I've been getting comments all over the place from people who got the book already. And one of the things that people really focused on was the fish tank idea. As like a mind-blowing idea. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, the fish tank ends up being everybody's favorite chapter. It's basically, I don't know if anyone on this call has had a fish tank with fish in it, but a fish grows to the size of the tank that it's in and how many other fish are in with it. And I use that analogy. We had fish when we were growing up, and really enjoyed that process of watching them, making them grow up, and some of them had babies and all kind. There's some stories in here, but the lesson that I learned that is true in business too is people grow to the size of the tank they're in, and how many people and who the people are that they surround themselves with. And I think Laura started this call off. You might have hopped on later, but you will become, who you hang around with and who you associate with. And that's one of the reasons, that's the main reason that Josh, who was doing well with Parker and Sons, decided to split off and start Clover and Catapult, which maybe we'll talk about later. But it was to start to help other people grow their business and surround themselves with the people that we've met. And so it is that, you are limited by your capabilities. If you're a $1 million company and you've always been a $1 million company, you've reached the size of the tank you're in. I mean, you're not going to grow unless you get in another tank that's bigger. Expanding your capabilities is one way to expand your tank. Expanding your mindset, how you think. If anything, this book will teach you how to think. And if you can think differently, your tank will start to get expanded. And then to surround yourself with the right fish, and maybe not too many of them. We're all limited in how much we can take in, and spending time with and joining organizations that understand you and can help you, and not 100 of them, is going to be an important way to expand your tank. So the lesson is a lot longer than that, and there's some really good, stories and analogies that are part of it. But that's the fish tank analogy.
Yeah, I mean, to kind of reiterate, like the fish tank means lots of things, really, right? But like, so many people get stuck at a certain size, and it's the old rotor. Remind me, Paul, who did this? But it's not the man, it's the land, or it's not the land, it's the man.
It's not the land, it's the man. It's
who said that again from Rotor? Remind me again.
That was Spencer Lee.
Spencer Lee. Yeah.
Yeah. But basically it's, a lot of people have reasons or excuses why they're not doing better. Some people are still talking about 9/11 and how it affected them, or their competition, or the economy, or 100 things that they could point to, but no one tends to point at themselves, right? The hardest person to point at is that person you're looking at in the mirror each morning, and that's the hardest thing to do. It's hard for me to do, but that is the person that holds us back the most.
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
And sometimes you need to pull someone in and have them point at you. You know what I mean? That's one of the biggest things I've learned over the years is like, if you rely only on yourself for your growth, for new ideas, for tactics, for strategies, for, you can't be the only fish in the tank and be successful. You just learn, everybody on this call has limitations, and you'll never expand beyond those limitations without outside information. None of us are Albert Einstein. Even Albert Einstein, constantly got feedback from other people, right? So I think that's the big piece of it. Let's move on too, because I know we got questions here. Do we want to go to
Yeah,
Paul?
let's go. I think we may need to do a follow-up call where we literally dissect each lesson, because there's so many lessons that I hate that you guys are missing out on some of them, and we're going to get through some, but
And we'll send a follow-up email to everybody so you can purchase the book.
I actually put the link already in the chat. So if you guys are well versed with Zoom, I already put the book link for Amazon, and it's like super inexpensive for the wisdom you're going to inherit. But yeah, it's there. if you want it.
it's $19.95 at $19.95. So
Plus shipping, yeah.
yeah, and it's
Well,
not,
if you have Amazon Prime, it's free shipping.
it's not going to change the world, but it might just change you. So
Okay, so let's jump into questions. So Paul Redman, welcome, by the way.
thank
Tall
you.
Paul.
Tall Paul, yeah. Paul asked, when you look back, Paul, what were the 3 biggest pillars or milestones that you attribute to your success? That's a really good way of getting into the book, Paul. Thank you for the question.
3 different pillars. I mean, the first pillar that we really did, and Josh remembers this as well as anybody, is we really, we didn't have money to advertise, so we had to be very careful with how we spent our money. And we really concentrated on the business that we already had. I mean, everybody on this call is already getting business. And you can take those customers who already trust you, who are already love you, and do more business with them. And it was first that, that concentration of, one, not losing a call. We all lose calls when we get super busy. We all know that. But there are so many contractors. I've been to well over 100 companies in the United States trying to help them grow their business. And some contractors lose as much business as they get just by not answering the phone well or not being able to close it. And so we answered the phone well, we closed it, we ended every call with some other opportunity. When the tech went out there, he did a great job of presenting options and closing that sale, selling accessories, setting up leads for systems. We got good at what, people would call the blocking and tackling of our industry. And that's how you win Super Bowls, with blocking and tackling and executing on what you already have. And so that's the first pillar. The second pillar was then to get good at advertising and marketing. And then every lead, because we got good at the business we already get, every call that came in was worth more. We raised our average ticket, we raised our close rates, and so then when we did advertise, then every call was worth more that came in, and then we got this snowball effect going, where we were able to advertise even more, and then more, and then more, and then started growing at a really good clip. And maybe the third pillar, if there is one, is, none of this is possible without having the right people in the right seats in the field. And we all know there's a war on technicians and installers, and whoever wins the war ends up with the business. And so we had to get good at recruiting, hiring, retaining great people. And, we'll hire 250 people a year now. about 100 from, and we have about 750, a little over 750 employees. But we'll hire about 100 for growth, and we lose about 150, so about 20% turnover overall in that range. And so we had to get really good at most of that. A lot of that turnover is in the Home Depot, Costco area of working the stores. We have a lot of turnover on the, we call them appointment generators that work in the stores.
And
But,
call center. Call center is a big piece of turnover. Too.
call center has some turnover, but they make really good money, so we don't turn over too many there. But yeah, I would say that's the third pillar. Hopefully that answers your question, Paul.
Yeah, to kind of dive into this too, right? Like a lot of people don't realize, like you can make this as complicated as you want, but right, simplicity is eye-opening and it's executable. There's only 3 ways to make more revenue. 3 ways and 3 ways only. No exceptions, right? It's either get more customers, get your customers that you currently get to spend more with you, or get them to spend more often with you. Those are the only 3. And most contractors really only focus on new customers. Hey, when I need business, I really hyper focus on, hey, I need more customers, right? And that's not the lowest hanging fruit. A lot of times the lowest hanging fruit is getting customers to spend more with you. And then second is getting to spend more often with you, right? We're in an industry where if you don't have service agreements, like people won't use you every year, right? But you need to activate your list, reach out to them. At one point, our cost per acquisition for the business, and this is blended for both, service, install, maintenance, everything, was $12. When you could get a customer for $12, you could turn a lot of money, right? And that money turned into more money, which gave us more money for marketing. But I think every company has different stages and issues, but until you figure out how to become profitable on every customer, I mean, some of you guys on this call, and I'm not calling anybody out by any means, but when it's all said and done, you'll make 5% net. And like, that's just not enough meat in the bone to run a business safely, to build for growth, and really to be exciting, right? Because this is hard work. So you have to figure out first how to make the most off of every customer. And then everything else becomes easier because you have the room to make mistakes on marketing. You have the room to try new objectives, to try new strategies, to try new things. So of the 3, that is by far, in my opinion, the most important. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. We're all in this to make money, and we don't need to kid ourselves. Why not make a lot of money? And we all work too hard not to do that. And so, yeah, if you're down in the single digits, especially down in the 5% range, when it's all said and done, you're about a third of the way as far as I'm concerned. We've run at about 18%. And I think a good margin, a good goal is 15%. But if you're not making at least double digits at 10%, then I think you'll end up spinning your wheels. And you can do a lot of business maybe, but if in the end, it's only fun if you can look at your bank account and see it growing. That's what makes it worthwhile.
It's not about, a lot of contractors, and some big contractors don't have the mentality. But I mean, in my opinion, it's not about what you make, it's about what you keep. That's the only thing that matters. I would rather, if I had the option of, running a $5 million business and making 500,000, or running a $10 million business and make 500,000, there's no question the $5 million business is a bigger opportunity, is a safer business, is less work, is the business I should be in.
Yeah, and just to, making money is not everything in life. But if you're going to work, I tell technicians this. I mean, when you're making money, then I know most of the people, or a lot of people on this call, are going to share their wealth with the people that helped them get there. And we do that in a big way here. And that's fun. That is fun to see technicians and installers and supervisors and people answering the phone and accounting and making more money than they could make working anywhere else, and being able to do stuff for their self or their family that they weren't able to do working for a competitor. That to me, money doesn't motivate me anymore, but when I see how we're doing is affecting the lives of the families that we have here, I mean, that's the fun part.
Yeah. And maybe this is too detailed, but I'm going to throw you under the bus here and have you answer this. So I remember specifically me and Paul were in San Francisco. We were walking down the pier and we stopped at the bar. We're hanging out, and it was a special day because it was one of the first times Parker and Sons has been bought by the Wrench Group, and it had flipped. And Paul made how many millionaires that day, just as a thank you?
Yeah, we had a handful of people that we were able to, and then since then, about 15 to 20 on top of that we were able to really change their lives in a big way. So that's
probably too detailed. That's probably a little out of everybody's scope, but it is important to take care of the people you brought with you, or not just that you brought with you, that sometimes brought you with them.
Sure.
But yeah, anyway, let's go to the next question, because I feel like
loyalty is people remaining loyal to you throughout the hurdles is for sure something to reward. Okay, George, at what point in your
growth, I think it's growth.
Yeah, I think so too. At what point in your growth from 1 million in sales going to 1.7 million do you start to think about hiring a service or field manager?
So we were talking about 1 million in growth. So just so we're on the same page, Paul's never started a business from scratch. I've never started a contracting business from scratch. We started about 6.5 million. So at what size do you start looking into a field manager? I think it's as simple as this. When you're large enough to pull yourself out, I want to start looking at, not necessarily, I want the owner out of the business at 3 to 4 technicians. I want a service manager in there at 5+, just so you could focus on bigger things and be bigger and like bigger picture stuff. Paul, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's back to what we were talking about before, the fish tank analogy. And, everybody can only grow to the size of their own fish tank and their own abilities. I would say when you see sales flattening out in your organization, then you need to hire some help. Maybe it's a field supervisor, maybe it's something else, but you'll reach a point where you can only do so much, and when you reach that point, you end up usually not growing. And when that happens, you have to do it. Josh, I agree with Josh. You should get ahead of that. But that's certainly the litmus test. When you're not growing, then you need help. But try and get ahead of it, and you'll grow faster.
And I've heard you say, Paul, before, like you're always hiring. You're not waiting until you need that person. You're always hiring.
Yeah, no, especially field tech. I mean, look, you'll only do as well as the people that you have. And if you find a really good one out there, I hear some people say, well, we're not hiring right now. And what they're thinking of is that we're not busy right now, so I can't hire you. Which means that the companies like Parker and Sons end up with all the good people that are looking. There's not that many good people that look, right? Most of the people you run across aren't that good. The good ones are working. When you do run across a good one, make room for them. You'll figure out how to keep them busy and how to generate that business. And if for some reason you can't, you can always get rid of your worst person. and there's always a worst person. I had a tech one time. I said, we'll always be, there's 2 ways to improve. We're going to train you. We're going to train you. We're going to train you, and you'll get better because of that. And another way is to hire good people and to get rid of our worst. And this guy named Bill raised his hand, who was at the bottom of our list. He was our worst. And so he took that personally. And he said, well, I could improve like 30%. And if everyone else improves 30%, I'll still be at the bottom. And I said, yeah, Bill, and you don't want to be there. So, anyway, that.
Did you end
yeah.
up keeping Bill? I'm just curious.
Yeah, Bill ended up finally getting it. I had to beat it into his head. Some people will get out of their way and do really well right off, and some people you have to hit a few times over the head. But Bill finally got it. I like saving people way more. So I think the other, so invest in people. People will be the ones that take you to the promised land, so to speak. It won't be, you need great people, and so you need to invest in them. And sometimes that's time, and sometimes that's money, and sometimes that's your effort or the energy that you put in. Those are the 3 resources we all have: time, money, and energy. And they're all limited to some degree. So you have to figure out where you want to spend that time, money, and energy. But you want to solve any problem, it's about time, money, and energy. You want to get somebody better at what they do, it's about time, money, and energy.
This might be a good time, Paul, to mention if you want to solve any problem, give them your solution for that. I think it's right relevant right now.
Yeah, it's, the hardest thing in our industry is finding, retaining great people, right? And it's something that I went to something here recently. It was a 70s party. So I ended up looking up what happened in the 70s. And wouldn't you know it, there were labor shortages, especially blue collar, that were happening then, especially skilled trades. So this has been going on for years, decades, probably centuries, right? And so anyway, I had this idea, and like I said before, everything I think of, you've probably thought of it, but I like simplicity. And basically, I found a way to solve any problem. It's not just at work, but it could be for you personally as well. And that simple formula is meet often enough with the right people, and you'll solve it. Meet often enough with the right people. It's that simple. And we did that with hiring and retaining. We met every week, and often enough doesn't mean once a month or once a year. It usually means, it can mean twice a day, but it normally at least means once a week. And with the right people, if somebody comes in with a problem and they want me to solve it, I don't want to solve all the problems. I always ask them, how often are you meeting and who are you meeting with? And sometimes you have to bring in outside help. I saw, you've got Clover. Between Laura and Josh, what a great way to pick the brain of some of the best in our industry. I saw Rick Hutcherson jumped on this call. I quote him in our book, or in my book, a couple times. He's a master at training, and I've learned so much from him. So there's meet often enough with the right people. Sometimes that means getting outside help if you're not solving it on your own or with the people that you have in your meeting. But yeah, that's my simple formula.
I think that's so, when I first heard of that, learned about it, I think it's so bloody empowering. So many people are like, I can't solve X problem, whatever the problem is. That truly is a formula to solve any problem. And to be able to know that you can solve any problem is so bloody empowering.
It's as weird as this sounds, like, I mean, as someone who's obviously been in those kind of meetings regularly for a while, and I do it with lots of companies now, but like, you won't meet every week on the same problem and not come up with new ideas. You get pissed off. I don't want to be in this meeting anymore. We're getting creative. We're thinking outside the box. Let's try something crazy.
Right.
And sometimes that crazy thing works. If the goal is not to have the meeting anymore, like, I just don't want to be here for this stupid meeting and talk about the same thing every single week. It's incredibly powerful.
Yeah, you'll come up with new ideas, you'll assign responsibility, and you'll hold each other accountable. Boy, is that a trio of game changers, right? So yeah, that's all you need to do. Meet often enough with the right people.
Love it. I love it. Okay, so next, Beryl. He has a question for you, and it's thoughts on selling in retail, Costco, Home Depot, Lowe's, etc.
We're fans.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of retail, or any new avenue to bring in business. Look, you know, trust is what we sell the most. If you looked at our advertising and how we go about trying to go to market, it's all about trust. And Costco already has that trust in spades. They call them members. And Costco's formula is the same formula that our formula is. We're not the cheapest in town, and guess what? Neither is Costco. You know, you can buy a steak way cheaper somewhere else. You're just not going to get the quality. And so, yeah, Costco, now they will package it with you know, 4 or 5 other steaks and try and give you a good deal on it. Well, that's what we do too. We package our services and products and accessories, and we package it together, and we give everyone a good deal on what we do. And so Costco is a great one. Home Depot has that trust in spades. Lowe's, I'd say, you know, Sam's Club, any of those are great to be in. And I'll tell you why they're really important for us is we're a big animal now. That animal needs to be fed, and it can get pretty hungry. And so you all have the same way. And one of the biggest challenges is keeping the beast fed during your slow times. And Costco and Home Depot and Lowe's and all those things can help do that. You can generate calls out of the store in your slowest months.
Yeah.
And
Here's what I would
that's the
say too.
advantage.
Here's what I would say too, guys. Like, we don't have time to go into this, but we can have a conversation later about this. Or I know we cover this in the Contractor Catapult. But there's a right way of doing this and a wrong way of doing it. There's a decent way of doing this, and there's a great way of doing this where you generate a lot of leads and protect yourself. You have to make sure, if you're going to do a Costco, if you're going to do a Home Depot, if you're going to do a Lowe's, that you're working the store, that you're having success, that you're judging by metrics, that you're holding people accountable. And that really you're just making enough money off of it, right? You have to build your business slightly different, because a Costco customer, because of the trust that's built and because of what you have to pay to Costco, because they take it right off the top, and it's not a small percentage. You have to be set up properly. So it's not just a blanket statement. I don't recommend everyone do a Costco or everybody do a Home Depot or a Lowe's, because you have to be operationally prepared to do that. And it's a kiss of death if you have, hey, I got 2 Costco's, I do $5 million in business and $4 million comes from Costco. That sounds amazing, but they own you. And that's not a great thing either. It's okay to have them as a chunk of your business. It shouldn't be the majority. And I've seen that happen too. And that's dangerous too. So big fan of it, but you do have to set it up properly, and you have to know what you're doing. We can certainly help you with that, but just be aware, like, there's a poor way of doing it where it will be a big problem.
Yeah, we weren't doing well in Home Depot, and I was telling people how to be successful, but it just wasn't happening. So I went and worked the store for a day. It was the most pressure I ever felt in my life. And because everybody knew I was working it, and all the things that I was telling them, I had to prove. And I won't go through the whole story, but after 3 hours of working the store, I hadn't set a lead yet. And if you know me, I go off in a corner, and not physically, but I beat myself up mentally, and I figure things out. And if I'm good at something, maybe it's that. But I went off in a corner. I figured it out. I got people interested. Then I couldn't close them, so I had to go back in my corner. I beat myself up some more. Think of a way to close it. I went ahead and approved it real quick because I can do that, and went back out on the floor. And in the next 2 hours, I set up 5 leads. So anyway, there's a method to a lot of things. Some of that is in this book, but there's always learn from who's doing it well. That's what I do. Find out who's doing something really well, and just copy the shit out of them. That works.
Put that on your wall.
Yeah.
Copy the shit out of them. Okay, John. Thank you guys for all your questions, by the way. They're helping everybody. Are you offering leasing on HVAC? Question from John.
Oh, that's a great question. We aren't currently, but we will be shortly. Yeah, we think leasing is going to be a thing in the future. We're looking into it right now, trying to negotiate some things with a couple of the leaders in the industry, and I think there's a place for leasing. There's also a place just for financing, which can get you to the same place, and we're looking at both a little differently. We're packaging a lot into our financing so that it is all inclusive, to kind of emulate leasing. And but yeah, leasing is going to be a big thing. I got to tell this story if we have time.
Go for it.
It was one of the most eye-opening stories that I had.
This is Vince.
Yeah, and I love to tell it because now Vince was my partner when I first bought the company, and I since bought him out a few years ago. But he called me up about 2 years ago, and he said, "Hey, have you seen George Brazil, who's our biggest competitor? They're ad on TV." And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, they're offering a brand new, state-of-the-art, high efficiency HVAC system. It includes all the repairs, all the maintenances, even the coil cleanings, for $134 a month." And his question was, how do they do it? And I said, "Vince, what do you mean, how do they do it?" He goes, "How can they afford to do that?" And I said, "Well, have you done the math?" And he says, "No, what?" And he goes, $134, I'll tell you what it is. It's not the highest SEER, it's a 14 SEER system. It doesn't matter if it's 5 tons or 2 tons, you're still paying $134. If you want a better system, it's going to be more than. And it's a builder's model. It's not even great equipment. And I said, "That's what you get for 134. I said, "But do the math. 134 is for 10 years times 120. I forget what that comes out to be, but it's like $16,000. And what is it real quick? 120 times 134, it's $16,000. Well, that same system is, we'd sell that kind of system. We'd sell for maybe 9,000 or 8,000. It's our lowest level. And And he said, the next thing was the aha moment for me. He said, Paul, that's a ripoff. I go, just like 1 minute ago, you were asking me how they do it. Now you think it's a ripoff. Well, what George Brazil did was they made it affordable. Affordability plus urgency equals a sale. And you got to still create urgency on why to do it now. But when you make something affordable, I don't care if it's air conditioning or a car. You want a new Tesla, if they made it affordable, which they're trying to do, more people will buy Teslas. So that's what they did, and they wrapped it in, and then you're set for the next 10 years. You don't have any payments. You don't have to worry about it. That's attractive to people. So anyway,
Not to age
funny
you,
story.
not to age you, Dad, but that was way more than a few years ago. That was way more. That was probably 7 or 8 years ago.
Was it?
Oh yeah.
I know Vince was a Bonnie Mount, maybe 5 years ago or so, 5 or 6. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay. What is the best way to train your new employees? Do you have an in-house training process? CL, thank you.
Yeah, we training is a big thing with us, not just during our slow times all year round. We train more during our slow seasons, but some of our training is in-house, some of it is outside. We help in conjunction with one of our contractors, which Josh and Laura and Clover actually is a big client of theirs. It's called AC by J, but the owner, he and I kind of started this idea of a school. He went and took it from there. It's called Better Tech Institute, but we actually, partnered with him to provide a school, not just for our 2 companies, but for anybody in town. And we get help from our trade schools on specific things, from the Heat Pump Council to all kinds of outside help. But internally, we have a full-time trainer, and then we have mentoring programs for. You can steal techs from others, or you can grow your own. And you need to be doing both if you want to be successful, I believe. And so, we have in-house program for growing our own, for HVAC and plumbing, and also for electrical. So, yeah.
Here's what I would say to this. Like, there's 3 things in business you never want to farm out. Marketing is one, sales is another, and training is another. You can have someone help you with all of those, right? You could have someone come in and train, and he could be a Rick Hutcherson, is a badass sales trainer, unbelievable sales trainer. And you get Rick in a room, he will change a couple people's lives, and he will give a boost to every single person in that room. But if you're not following up and you're not doing that every day, hand-to-hand combat, that every week, like, it's not going to last. That's just not how training works. Training is a consistent battle. So you always have to have a way of training your guys consistently. And there's just no way of doing that with outside only, right? So your strongest piece always has to be, you can get ideas from people like us, like others, and you can learn systems, but it has to be implemented internally. Otherwise, you're just never going to have long-term success.
What's your phrase, Josh? Knowledge is not power.
Yeah, knowledge. Yeah, everyone's heard that knowledge is power, right? But to be clear, that's bullshit. It's not true at all. Knowledge is potential power. It only matters if you use it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a Tony Robbins thing. That's not a me thing, but I'll steal it.
It is, but you've made it. Yeah, you've
if you say something 3 times,
it's yours.
It becomes your own.
You give credit to somebody 3 times, and after that, it's yours.
Well, I'm way beyond 3 times.
I like that rule.
That's my idea now.
I like that rule. Okay, so we're coming tight on time, and I feel bad because there's definitely probably some more questions.
There's so many more questions.
I can go a little longer if you all can.
How long's a little longer? 15 minutes?
Yeah, maybe, 10 to 15 now.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So we'll aim to be finished up here by 11:10 Mountain Standard Time. So I'm going to try get a few more questions here answered. Let's get at least 4 done, and then we may have to end it. But stay on. You'll learn from other people's questions. So this is a short question. And is this book available on Audible? So Paul, I think you're being forced into recording this sooner than you.
Yeah,
wanted
it's
to.
not, and I like Audible too, and unfortunately I haven't had time to do the Audible. The book just came out like 3 weeks ago or so. I will get an Audible done, but don't wait for that because you might wait a little bit. But no, it's not an Audible yet, but it will be.
Okay, so I'm in the Dallas market, and at this time of the year, I feel like the phones don't ring no matter how much I invest on marketing. 80% of our calls at this time of the year are outbound. Is that normal?
You want me to tackle this first? Do you mind?
Yeah, go ahead.
So here's what a lot of people make mistake is like the calls you receive like in May. Is that from marketing done in May? Generally not. Generally, if you're doing this well, you've built the groundwork before. So that the groundwork's in February, March, and April, right? So that's piece one, right? Like if you're not scaling for the slow season, that's a mistake. And here's the other side of this. Like there's just less people. We're in Phoenix, right? The weather is literally perfect outside for 5-6 months of the year. We have to generate our own calls. There aren't people actively looking for, no one wakes up in the morning and says, you know what I'd love today? New condenser and shining pipes in my walls, right? That doesn't happen. We're in a grudge purchase business, right? No one wants to do business. They're forced to do business with us. So you have to find a way to go and get phone calls. So what I would tell you is 80% of your calls is outbound. That would not be unusual for a large percentage for it to be outbound. That's maybe higher than I would want, but not significantly higher. But what I would say is outbound is probably not the way of doing it. Right? Number one, you should have maintenance agreements that you should be running through right now. If you don't have maintenance agreements, you didn't lay the groundwork in the summertime to keep yourself busy right now, right? You need to do that. But you need to activate your customer list, and outbound calling, it's got to be a piece of it, but it's one of the most expensive ways to generate calls and one of the least efficient, right? If I want to call 1,000 people, that's going to take several CSRs and a long time. And my success rate is very low on that because I have to, not everybody answers their phone. Where I could send 1,000 emails today in 15 minutes. I could send 1,000 text messages. I could do ringless voicemail, and I could work my way up the value chain of expense versus efficiency to get that board full. So in the slow season, you are going to generate the majority of your calls. I wouldn't want it to be 80%. But if it was 70 or 75, that wouldn't freak me out. As long as I had a consistent, predictable way of getting them. And outbound calling is like my last defense. And I'm going to do it every year, to be clear. But like, I would much rather you send $3 on an email than pay a CSR $15 on a spiff where she's got to make 30 calls to get 3 calls, or I could send a really well put together email or text message or ringless voicemail and generate a lot more business with a lot less effort.
Here's what we're going to do. So there's so many questions, and I don't want everybody's questions not to get answered. Josh, I'd like you to share a bit about our program so we can let them know how we can get all these questions answered on an ongoing basis. And Rick Harris, I don't know what this was about.
I saw that. I saw that. 5%. He's talking about 5% net.
5% is money laundering. I was like, what? I don't know what you're getting at here, Rick. All right. So yes,
it's not a business. He's money laundering. If you're only making 5% net, it's not a business. You're just money laundering, is what you're saying.
All right.
She's
Okay.
from
So
Ireland.
yeah, go into that.
She's not familiar with money laundering. Everybody in Ireland are good people. So, it's just totally different.
Yeah,
Gareth can attest to
guys,
that. Gareth has got a big smile right now.
You guys are preposterous.
All right. Yeah, let's do this. I'm going to share my screen real quick.
Go ahead. Yep.
So I don't want to spend a bunch of time on this, but we'll talk about it real quick. I know we have some members. Oh, that's not the right button. We're going to press present. Some members on right now, and I'd love for them to talk a little bit, but If you guys like this information and want to get more information like this consistently, which obviously is pretty powerful and important, we do have a way to set you up. We call it Contractor Catapult. It's your way to stop guessing and start growing. So not only do you learn from people like me, people like Paul, but really other large successful contractors across the United States, it's a way to increase the size of your fish tank quite literally, right? So I'll send this link. Laura, can we make sure to send this link to everybody? Maybe drop it in the chat at the
We'll do
end,
it right
and we'll do
now.
it as an email afterwards. I have a trailer in here, and I know we got Tom Casey on this too, in case you wanted to see a video of exactly what it entails. But here's the basics, right? Number one, we're cocky. We're cocky for a reason. It's because we know we deliver. So we give a free trial to everyone that wants to be involved in this. Everybody on this call will get a 7-day free trial where we'll include 2 training videos of a $60 million minimum contractor with their biggest, most successful ideas. Paul does one on mindset. We'll give playbooks, action item lists, every single one. The goal of our business is, I think of a business a lot like a football game, right? I know if it's 3rd down and 10, I have a playbook and I have a list of plays I could call for that specific situation, right? And depending on the time, whatever it is, I want you to have a playbook where, hey, if I run into this, here's exactly what I do step by step. Here's the assignments I give to my team members. Here's what it looks like. Here's the order that we do it in. Here's the results I should expect, much like you would, right? We also add some food for thought. We give you your first call with an accountability manager, which I think AJ's on this call. So anybody that signs up today will be with AJ. Some MP3 for people who like, to listen to the Audible. You get 2 weekly knowledge bombs, and you're going to get part of a monthly coaching. You get a taste of that as well, which is super powerful stuff. It's basically this, except small groups. So it's going to be 20 contractors, 20 to 30 is where we try to be, non-competitive. So you could really ask a lot of questions and get a lot of details, right? After that free trial, you're going to get a once a month jam session. So what that is it's a $50 million plus contractor where we deep dive on one idea. So it's not like, hey, how's everything going? It's like, I have this amazing recruiting idea that's changing our business and we're recruiting techs like crazy. I have this amazing new sales process that's changed our business. We're growing by our average ticket grew by 10% in a month. Hey, I create this brand new pricing structure system that increased our profitability by 5%, right? So it's this one simple idea that we drop once a month from a $50 million plus contractor, but it's a big idea that really changes your business. We also do weekly knowledge bombs. These are once a week, we drop like a simpler concept, a simpler idea that you can implement right away. A perfect example of this it was a few weeks ago, but I think it just makes it so clear. Everybody on this call should be presenting multiple options. I don't want to go into the details of that. I hope you are presenting multiple options, but a lot of people don't really think through the whole process, right? Most companies are doing like, this is the silver, gold, platinum, which clearly sounds salesy. The better companies are doing good, better, best, but these are poor descriptions and they're poorly set up because they don't create an emotional response. Words matter, right? So what if I told you, instead of good, better, best, I should label it, this is what you have to do. This is what you should do. If this was my mother's house, this is what I would do. Feel the emotion that you automatically create when we have this conversation. There's a different way of doing it in printed, right? But like, that's a simple idea that you could execute within a week that will change your business.
Matt just said that is brilliant. I'm glad you like it, Matt.
Thank you. Then we have live coaching once a month. We kind of talked on that. So it's 20 to 30 people, non-competitive. You get to ask me any question you want. I often sometimes bring in big contractors on with me. And we're going to prepare a specific idea that's relative to what it is. So it might be planning for next year and how to properly plan on revenue, recruiting, call volume, right? It might be, hey, it's maintenance agreement time. Like we need to start selling a ton of maintenance agreements. Here's how to sell them over the phone and in person, right? Here's how you run maintenance agreement. If we're talking about March, how to make it more profitable, right? So it's really powerful stuff. You get specific questions, increasing the size of your fish tank. And the biggest thing is implementation, right? We talked about knowledge is power, knowledge is potential power. You have to actually execute these ideas. So we actually assign you an implementation manager that's going to talk to you. And if you say, hey, I love this idea, and he reaches out to you and you say, I didn't get to it, he's going to pester you and make sure you get it done, because that's how we guarantee success. So biggest benefit, obviously, is you get access to contractors that most of you would never be able to have access to on a regular basis, which will change your mindset, will change the size of your tank, will change the size of your opportunity. And just so we're all on the same page, our average client, absolute average, grows by 25% right now. We have some growing by much higher percentage. Then here's all the details. So here's what you get. You get the secrets from most successful contracts in the industry, those jam sessions. We put that at $12,000 value. You get the playbooks, the action item plans, the food for thought, the downloadable MP3s, word for word, which is a transcript for those of you who like to read, maybe highlight as you go through with. You get the weekly knowledge bombs. You get the accountability system. You get the monthly group coaching call. You get daily training every single day. Laura's going to send out emails training you on this idea or this new thing that we found from another contractor. And you get that all for a free 7-day trial. So you get to try it before you buy it. Total value of $38,000. But guys, we don't charge $38,000. You know what's happening right now? It's literally $19.97 for the entire year. So less than $2,000 to drastically change your business, change your life. Just to make it more affordable, because Paul talked about that. That's literally less than $6 a day, the price of a cup of coffee, to change your business, change your life. So I'm going to just blaze over these, but I know we're going to send this afterwards. We have case study after case study after case study, example after example after example of companies that we've drastically changed their life, changed their business. We've given out tons of awards for hitting gigantic sales and growth goals and profitability goals. I know, Laura, do we have anybody on the call now that's a member that wants to speak real quick?
Yeah, I just saw actually. So Pete Roberts is a member, and
I'll stop sharing here.
he just said this was very nice of him, and he's not, I don't even think, on this call anymore. It's in the chat for everybody. He said, I just want to share with everyone our thanks to Josh and Laura. Since we have been working with Clover, we have had excellent growth and are now a $10 million company. Josh tells us what we need to hear, not what we want to hear. He helps us to identify and address areas of our business that need improvement, which increases our revenue. I could go on with how much they've helped us grow. Well, that's awesome, Pete. Thank you for that.
Nice. So we got Gareth and Tom here. Gareth, Tom,
we've Gareth and Tom.
A quick word?
Gareth Kelly is a Kelly, so he's just got to go first. Sorry, Tom Casey.
Hey guys, yeah. So there's sorry, I'm on my mobile, so I can't see who's on there. But you know, some of the information Josh and Laura has given us has been great, and not only they giving out great information every week. You know, you may have a problem, and they get to work on it, and they've also come back with solutions and actionable items that we can just work on right away to solve that problem. So it's definitely been great, some great eye-opening opportunities and ways to improve your business. So I'd highly recommend it. It's like the best $200 or $6 a day we've spent. So
thank you, Gareth.
Tom, quick word, and then we'll kick it back.
Yeah, so I'm a practical guy. Josh, Laura, and the team, awesome. Paul's the GOAT. Just the stuff that's recorded by him, I go back and listen to it over and over. His ability to make things so digestible, I've never seen it before, and I've been around longer than I care to admit. So my only advice would be, if you're not serious about implementing, you're not serious about growing, you're not serious about improving, move along. There's nothing to see here, because this will not be a fit for you.
That's fine.
You are drinking from a fire hose. The content is nonstop. It's just always something, which allows you to cherry pick. So if you don't need this, you can always pick that. That's what I see. Some things I don't need. Other things are like that aha moment of like, wow, that's perfectly timed. It's practical. It's simple. It's proven. I think it's a big thing. What I like dealing with Josh in particular about whatever an issue is, he's not giving me a theory. What a lot of people do is, or what I've heard about, or some of the consultants out there, they never walked a mile in my shoes. Josh has walked several miles in my shoes, which I love. So I guess the last thing for me, I'm a people person, and I love dealing with the whole team. Whoever I talk to, they're really good about putting real quality, relatable, saltless people to work with. So again, we're not dealing with somebody who's just trying to get the next job. These are real solid folks. I love it.
Thank you. Tom.
Thank you, Tom. I'm going to call one last person because I'm a big fan. I think Brett and Phil are on this call, right?
They are. Yeah, they're in the war room.
The war room. Go ahead. Brett, if
I
you'd
just
like to
did
find
an
your
interview
logo.
for them yesterday. I was interviewing a potential service
Yes, he
manager.
did. Because I came into his office right when he was interviewing and he killed me with a look. I was like, something's gone wrong in Josh Kelly's day. But he was just taking the interview very seriously, apparently. Go ahead. Brian and Melissa is what your names are. I think you ever felt like,
Why is that? I don't know. I'll be Melissa. So first of all, that interview that we did yesterday, thanks. That probably saved us $1 million, pain, suffering, and money. Incredible experience. So I'm going to share a couple of things to kind of recap some of the stuff we went over. If you want to grow a business or you want your business to be successful, you have to have outside coaching. You don't know what you don't know. We all know it. So that's an absolutely essential point. You got to have outside coaching. Obviously, if you're going to go outside coaching, you want to have the A team. You want to have people that have done it, have experience with it, have connections to their coaching people. Essential. It's just foundational. The other point is that the training that you receive and the marketing happens over time. So if you want to be somewhere in a year from now or 2 years from now, you got to start today. I think Josh said that the advertising or the phones ringing in May are the result of February, March, and April's advertising. That's correct, but it also applies to what we're talking about here. It is you've got to start the coaching, you've got to start the training, you've got to start the implementation, as if it was a marketing plan, but this is a business coaching plan. And so if you want to reap a harvest for your business a year from now, 2, 5, you got to get started immediately, and there's no reason to delay it. It's just absolute. And they do hold you accountable. That's number 3. You're going to feel some pain, and you're getting to the place after a year or year and a half of this where you go, bring the pain. I like it. So those are the growth moments. So, and nothing like this is easy. Sometimes you're getting information that you're not quite ready for, and that's frustrating, but you work through it, you stay on track, you keep implementing, you grow as leaders in your own company, and you're accountable to these people that care. They're amazing. They do a great job. I got to tell you, I mean, the answer is yes. And the way they package it and the way they provide the value, it's literally like a no-brainer. And we've gotten to a place where we're using that term, and it's like a no-brainer. So don't miss out on this opportunity. That's all I got to say. And we've been doing this a long time. So our company's over 60 years old, and every day, every year, it's a new, fresh opportunity for us to be better at what we did in the past. And really, by bringing in these guys, they focus on your team. Everything that they've talked about today is literally going to be delivered.
Thank you very much, Brett.
Thank you. So here's what I would say. Like, we can go over the details, our 100% money back guarantee, that we guarantee growth, profit, fun, but just sign up for the trial. It's growwithclover.com/new-idea.
Or Contractor Catapult. I have the link. The link is in the chat, everybody.
Yep. Sign up for the trial, get a piece of it, kind of understand what it is. And then I want to talk about one last thing, because I think this is fascinating, right? And if you've heard me say this, then don't answer. But I want everybody to put it in the chat box, and then Laura read them. So I want to talk about your 2 biggest expenses in life. Really, as a business owner, as a business owner specifically, what's the 2 biggest expenses? Go ahead and just type them in the chat box real quick. Don't be shy. Type them in. 2 biggest expenses: labor, materials. What else?
Brenda, I can't believe Josh hasn't shared this with you before. I'm glad you're here, by the way.
Education.
Good to see you, Brenda.
Okay, keep going. Mistakes, advertising, marketing, labor. So, Brad knows his stuff. So time, advertising, boat. Yeah. So a lot of people don't realize this because you don't think logically about this, right? So I've done this before, and this is not a me thing. I borrowed this too because I think it's brilliant. I've had people say my ex-wife. I've had people say labor. I said there's all kinds of answers to this, right? Your second biggest expense by far is actually your taxes. A couple people said that. And you don't realize it because they nickel and dime you, right? Race car could be your race car. Andrew's a little crazy, but it's your taxes. Because when you get taxed and making money, you get taxed. What's that called? It's called income tax. When you buy real estate, you get taxed. It's called real estate tax. When you die, you get taxed. If you live in California, you get taxed if you buy soda, right? So they nickel and dime you. So the average business owner pays about 34% in taxes with all things combined. So 34%, it's your second biggest expense. Your first biggest expense is not knowing. Not knowing the idea that could save you 10% of your taxes. Not knowing the idea that could grow your business 25%. Not knowing the idea that would get your business from 12% profit to 17% profit. Not knowing the idea that brings your average ticket from 400 to 450. Not knowing is your biggest expense, and what you need to spend the most time, money, and effort on. And don't try to figure out yourself. Use people around you. Use people like us. Read books. Not knowing is your biggest expense in life, and it's one of the easiest ones to overcome.
Share our guarantee real quick with people because I'm for sure proud of it.
Okay, here, I'll share my screen real quick just so it's super obvious. Here's our guarantee, super simple. We're cocky. We talked about that before, but we're cocky for a reason. We've never had to pay this. I hope we never do. But literally, we guarantee 3 promises. We promise that when you implement and you join Contractor Catapult, we guarantee you growth. We guarantee that you become more profitable. And I think this is a big piece of it too. We guarantee that your business is more fun. A more predictable business is more fun to operate. People on this call that members could tell you this, like when you're struggling, when you don't know what to do, when you don't have the right questions to ask, you don't have the right people to ask the questions to, business can be stressful and it can be unpleasant. And we can make your business more predictable, more exciting, more fun. So all 3 of those promises. And if we don't deliver on any one of those promises, and by the way, it is subjective, right? Fun is subjective. We'll give you every single dollar you ever spend with us back. But you're not gonna ask for the money back. You're gonna spend $2,000 and you're gonna generate $1 million during the trial. The 7-day free trial, we brag it's $1 million worth of ideas for free.
And so you're aware.
You guys sign up. If you guys want more information, put your email in the chat, and I'll have Laura or myself will give you a ring and just chat with about it. But honestly, just go to the website, growwithclover.com, click on that catapult at the top.
I think this is important. So you all are aware. Nothing like 0 gets charged on your card until day 8. So you have day 1 to 7 to find out how much you love it. We have few and far between people who cancel within those 7 days. However, it is an option available to you. So you've 7 days, nothing gets charged on your card until day 8. You've 7 days to experience it, love it, take all the value from it. And then I would love for you to continue with us on day 8. I think you'll love to too, but give yourself that opportunity. You don't know what you don't know. And I certainly would love to welcome you with open arms to Clover. Yeah. And what I would say too, is I think Tom nailed it on the head before, like we will force you to grow. Like we pester, like we make sure that we take these guaranteed seriously. So if you're there is nothing wrong with not wanting to grow. It's just not for us. So if you're a contractor that, I have 3 trucks and I feel really comfortable where I'm at and I don't want to make more money and I don't want to add teams because I don't want the headaches, don't sign up because it's not going to be a good fit. You're not going to love it and we're not going to love working together. So that's my only caveat and pushback. But I hope to see a bunch of you sign up and see you on the next monthly coaching call. And I hope this was super valuable. Thank you so much, Paul, for doing this. Yes, Paul, any closing thoughts? We have just a lot of people saying thank you, and
I wish we had more time to go over questions. I love answering them. But all your answers will, or all your questions will get answered if only you join. And look, these kind of things, as he showed all these things that you get, I mean, there's a lot of value there, and I get that. But I mean, the cost is so low. I mean, if you could learn, if I could pay, I like to golf. I'm decent at it, but not great. But if I could pay $6 a day and play with Tiger Woods and Vino and all the greats, Arnold Palmer, and like every day I get to play and learn from somebody for $6 a day. Oh my gosh, come on. So it's such a low amount of money. Try it. And if you don't like it, you can stop it. But you're not going to stop just enjoying the different ideas. You might not implement everything, but just to know that they're there, and you build your own library of things that you can call upon when you want. That's invaluable. So anyway, I think it's sometimes crazy people don't, learn from some of the best in our industry. If I'm good, it's because of all the people I've met and everybody I've learned from. And so this is a way to do that. So yeah, join.
Thank you, guys.
My parting words are, you know what? You might think like if I can't do what Paul does, well, one, you're already doing it to one degree or another, and two, if I tell people if I can do it, I will not say everyone can do it, because that wouldn't be true, but a lot of people can do it, and maybe not at a $200 million level. But if you're $1 million, you can definitely be 2 million or 5 million. And so don't think that you can't do exactly what we're doing here at Parker with your business. You can. You just might need some help.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time, guys. I hope everybody enjoy it. I'm going to cut it off because we got to respect Paul's time, and we all got stuff to do. So go out there, take some of these ideas, go make some money, and we'll see you. We'll see you on the next monthly culture call, hopefully. Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you all. Cheers.
See you guys.